Hello, and welcome back to the Cooper Villa channel. I'm Scott Cooper, and this is our review of Brentford versus Aston Villa. And we've got a surprise today. We've got our number one biggest fan, Paul Cox, Coxy. He's here to join in. We'll be talking that. We'll be talking Tommy with COVID now. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's all coming up after this. All right, so we were back at we were back at what's the new stadium? Griffin Park.
It's I think it's the Brentford Community Stadium, I believe.
Right, the Brentford Community Centre, their new stadium. We were playing Brentford for the second time this season after drawing with them earlier on in the year at Villa Park, and Steven Gerrard was back on the touchline, but Ollie Watkins was out with suspected COVID, but that wasn't confirmed by Gerrard pre-match. But before we get into the match and everything that went on, we're going to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I would like to introduce Paul Cox. Coxy, welcome to the show.
How you going there, guys? Thanks for having us on.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure. Thanks for supporting the show and watching and getting behind the podcast has been great. All your comments and likes and, ideas and stuff has been great. And as we say, pretty much every show, you are the number one fan. So welcome.
We usually say we love Cox. But hey, should we just do a quick intro for Coxy, as in just, Coxy, how you got into Villa, just how long you've been supporting?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, I was just about to get it. So, as Tommy just said, tell us your story, your Villa story. How did you become a fan, and how did you find out about the podcast?
Yeah, well, the Aston Villa story for me. I was born in England and came out to Australia when I was about 8, but I lived in Sutton Coldfield for years, and everybody barracked for Aston Villa, and the occasional person barracked for the Blues, but I mean, nearly everybody barracked for Villa everywhere. So I did. And then when we came out to Australia, there was just nothing really. I think there was 1 hour of the soccer on TV a week. And we used to look at the scores in the newspaper on a Monday, and you had to go right the back part of the newspaper just to see the scores. Very little coverage. But then when it's onto TV, now I just love it. Every game live. Noah, as you've mentioned, the secret is out now. I am actually his uncle.
I didn't even know that. Maybe I just don't tune in.
So I'm his number one fan as well. So
good.
But, yes, we used to get up early in the hours of the morning and watch the early games with my father, who's since passed away as well. So he's a Holt ender in the sky, and we're all big Villa fans here in Australia now, and I love it. And I'd love to see Noah getting involved too. And I love your show. So keep it going, guys. It's great.
Thanks. Fantastic story. And Noah has told us the story of his first time watching Villa when you were watching, I think it was Newcastle, was it?
Was, Noah? Yep, sure was.
And it's been a love affair ever since. It's good stuff. And,
like a potential mental health case. Yeah. roller coaster club.
We will get into that. It was a bit of a mental disorder last night.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I'll go to you, Tommy, next. And last week it was Noah who had the COVID. It's going crazy in Victoria at the moment. Now it's you, Tommy. So tell us how you're feeling.
I might have to give short-winded answers for once because of my lungs, but I'm all right. I mean, I did 2 rapids. I've tested positive, went to get a PCR today, so I'm already isolating, kind of preparing for the worst. And then good news is Noah told me that there's a $750 payday for me as a once-off, so hoorah.
Nice.
No, $450 and $450 for getting the test, mate.
What? So what's that? Like 1,300?
Yeah.
1,200. Shit, my math's good. But did I have to tell him I had it or no? Just get it in general.
Oh, you have to tell them.
Oh, I didn't tell them.
Oh no, online you do it.
Okay,
you do it online. Anyway,
today's show is sponsored by Medicare.
Look, I've tested positive, got the symptoms. It's legit. I mean, you do feel it in your lungs, and I walk about 10 to 15k a day, so I'm relatively healthy. And I mean, diet's dog shit, but do my walking every day and I thought I'd be pretty good. And it's funny, you hear like 8,500. I'm like, I don't know anyone that's got it. And I've fucking jinxed myself, basically.
Mm.
Could be worse, could always be New South Wales. And so look after yourselves. I mean, we all muck around. My missus and I, we kind of try and go to secluded places, and we're starting to take off in Adelaide. So we just got back, and it was pretty annoying. Like I said, just the last week of my annual leave, and I felt like I haven't had time to scratch my ass. I've had nearly a month off, so yeah, I felt like this would be the week just to relax and whatnot. Now I've got plenty of time to relax, but it's obviously being sequestered to the four walls of my bedroom. Fevers, comes and goes at night, to be honest. So not sure what's with that, but knowing that Noah made a pretty speedy recovery, that's good news. And I obviously share a house with my mum, my dad, and my brother. So I've got to now, after this, go and like sanitize everything because I got home a bit earlier. And like we've got two, they've got the ensuite which they'll use, and I'll just use our main bathroom and whatnot with laundry like numbers.
Yeah.
Me dirties. Actually, go Coxy.
Yeah, Tommy, can I ask you a question, Villa related too, and COVID related too? Obviously, there's been a lot of reported Villa players getting sick, and I'm thinking one's coming back into the team. Like we had McGinn coming in last night, and we don't know who else has been affected. Obviously, a few have. Yeah. How do you think it's going to affect their recovery when they're playing? I reckon they look like they ran out of petrol last night.
Well, that's the
other
thing.
things that were wrong with them. But how do you think it's going to knock your health around as a recovery if you're a footballer?
Yeah, good question. As Noah alluded to it earlier, these aren't just guys going for a stroll. Like these are at an elite level of fitness. 1 week out, it's probably like a 5-6 week decline. So it's going to take a while. I mean, this happened ages ago. Remember we had the COVID break, and some of the players were getting it last season under Dino, and then our form just slumped. We weren't the same. We were dominating going into that COVID break. So yeah, I think it takes a while, especially at an elite level. And like Noah said, once you've got it forever. We don't know the ramifications now. I made my 10, 15 years earlier, and I won't know that until I'm 70 or 65, whatever, when I'm going to pass away, hopefully 100. But anyway,
but it could have affected
until
McGinn.
then. Yeah, well, like I said, he's our engine, and just I think we all noticed like usually he's getting like between 1 to 3 votes, and to not even like really be there, like he just looked off it. And I think he was short on breath, to be honest, because we did dominate possession, and that's where he likes to flourish and shine. He's probably going into my answer later, but I feel like we're just trying to force a lot. Like the blueprint's there, but it's just not connecting yet. But we can see some things coming along. I reckon plays, especially like Wally, he's got a big engine, and there's a lot of running and offensive pressure. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's only at like 70, 80% capacity, and we just slowly introduce him back. I don't think it'll be a straight slot in. If it is, I'd be surprised if he does a full 90.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll go on to the game now, and and like you said, wasn't the best game all around. I think the first half was good. From what I was watching, I was really happy with the way we were going until their goal. And just before the goal, I turned to the wife and said, "This is as good as we played for a while, and maybe for a season or two." So I was really happy with the way we were linking up. Buendia, Ings, Ramsey were all looking good. And then just silly mistake, they get the goal, and it's a totally different game. Troy, what did you think? It was one of those days where we just needed that second goal before they scored.
It should have all been wrapped up in the first half. The first half, as you said, was quite impressive. We were banging it around. Buendia was looking good. The shape wasn't too bad. We looked like we were in second gear and cruising, and if we needed to, we could go to third gear, but we didn't. We went back to neutral. The second half was just an absolute abortion. I'm glad Tommy brought up and Coxy brought up the effects of COVID, because I looked at McGinn. He sat way too deep, and is this under instructions to sit deep? What's going on here? Because everybody I've spoken to, everybody that I've read about, everyone to a man says he's much better when he's the driving force of the team and he's in the other half and he's pushing them back.
Yeah,
he wasn't doing that. Why not?
Why start Sanson? Why start Sanson if you're going to play McGinn deep anyway? I thought Sanson's the more defensive one of the two.
Yeah.
And
then I'm thinking,
I'm like, why?
Is it a case where he's thinking, if I get forward, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back rapidly, and maybe he just didn't want to overcommit and let the team down. But I just thought that's really his worst game for us. He was completely anonymous. Ramsey, I've seen it before. He was very, very good for 5 or 6 games in a row, and then he needs a bit of a rest. And I thought he ran out of steam as well. Maybe he's got a problem that he doesn't know about. Look,
that's a good point, Troy. There may be those who don't know they have it. Like,
yeah.
So my missus, she tested negative this morning on the rapid. Didn't really have symptoms. She had a bit of a sniffle, and I said, well, we both had headaches on Saturday night, and yeah, I reckon there's a lot more players that probably have it that don't know, and there's those that are asymptomatic and may not develop for. Like, I don't know how I got it. It could have been on the plane back, could have been in Adelaide, could have been before Adelaide, because it may not show up for up to 20 days sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I also think, okay, let's put the COVID theory aside for a minute. In that second half, I thought Traore needed to be substituted.
Yeah,
15,
definitely.
maybe 20 minutes earlier than he did.
Yeah.
Why didn't he? Gerard's not stupid. His staff aren't stupid. They must have looked at this and seen he's breathing out of his ass. So, okay, are they leaving him out there for fitness, thinking we're not going to lose the game? There's no problems here. Let's boost his fitness up. Let's see what he can do. I think Gerard has openly said to management, look, I've inherited a team here. I would very much like to save you tens of millions of dollars by very carefully analysing and having a good look at every player we've got.
Yeah.
They're going to say, yeah, knock yourself out. Purslow, especially when he was behind buying a lot of these players, he's going to say, mate, assess away. We're not going to go down. That's pretty obvious. So you take all the time and assess what you need. And I think this is why we saw Trezeguet come on last night. He said, right, go ahead. And I think it's only a matter of time before we see the likes of Archer and Ingro Tonal come on for a run as well. But at the end of the day,
I was very surprised Chukwuemeka didn't come on.
I think he was meant to.
Traore.
Yeah, he was, and then he went back on the bench.
Yeah.
It was like with 4 minutes to go, like a piss take of a sub, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought he would come on when Trez came on.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
but it's a very fine line between, and this is where we've got a fine line between football is a business, a very cutthroat, a very expensive business, and being a game about entertainment. Because entertainment, at the end of the day, drives your business. It drives your business. That wasn't entertaining. The first half was entertaining. The second half was, and you're always going to get a team that the supporters are happy with their performance. The other team are not going to be happy with their performance. It's not a zero-sum game. So, but it was miserable. Is that the end of Steven Gerrard's honeymoon period? I don't think so. I think a lot of fans will look at it. So we're not going to blame him. We know he's assessing his side, but too many performances like that, especially in the second half, I think the honeymoon period will end, and I think he could see a little bit of dissatisfaction creeping in. The window will be interesting.
Yeah,
I think Brentford deserve a bit of credit in the second half. I think they deliberately slowed the game down and made it a lot less open than it was in the first half, and where we were, dominating the play, creating chances quite easily. Should have probably had more than one goal, and I think they sort of slowed the game down. There was a lot of injuries, a lot of players going down, a lot of sort of time wasting and that sort of thing. And I think that broke up our rhythm a bit, but I do agree with you. Like 3 or 4 players who played well in the first half didn't really turn up for the second half. And
no, they didn't.
I'm not really sure who you put that on, if that's...
And what do we attribute it to as well?
Yeah.
Is it stamina? Is it just form?
I mean, because that first half was good. The goal was brilliant. Buendia to his little turn, and then his pass to Ings was great, and the finish on the left peg, magnificent. That's the sort of thing we were hoping for when we brought those 2 guys in at the start of the season. Like, Ings, the finishing, Buendia, the assist, the bit of clever play in the midfield. And at that point, I was thinking, 2-3-0, we can go on here and, dominate this game. But it's just the goal came at a bad time. It was a bad goal in terms of it sort of came out of nothing. And I think that just really shook us, and it just shows in football momentum can be massive.
100%.
Noah, you want to talk about sort of what happened in that second half?
Well, not much, to be honest.
No.
I think, as you said, Brentford have to have a bit of credit. I mean, that's, as you said, slowed the game down really well. They actually had some good passages of play, Brentford. I think some of their passing was quite silky smooth in that second half, and they just hit us where we were being bad. Our passes in the first half were going to everyone. We look like Barcelona in their prime at some parts, and then, we're missing, cash to horse. They were missing those sort of passes in the second half. And I mean, Brentford's pressure was also really good. But I don't know what really happened. I was more disappointed with Trezeguet's dive. That's how I really
Yeah, I
saw the
was
second
I
half
was
more than
hoping
anything.
someone would bring that up.
Yeah,
That sums up the second half for me. Just get the ball in the box.
He's been talking to Salah.
I reckon there was a potential penalty denied for us. Conser didn't go to ground, but that centre back off a corner was tugging his shirt. I don't know why no one else picked that up. Or
I actually didn't see it.
Out. It's just a tough view. No, it was a blatant pen. Like the guy's grabbed his shirt and Conser's like move forward instead of like not dive, but just like bring some attention to it at least.
Yeah.
And I felt like the liner was in line with it.
Yeah, if that was Man City or Liverpool, that would have been checked, I reckon.
Well, VAR should have seen that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are they doing upstairs?
Not much.
Coxy? Like, you don't understand. Yeah. I guess that leads to bigger things now that, January transfer, like who are we linked with? And the good thing would be we sold Grealish for 100 million. Yeah, I think we milked Man City based on what they're getting. So I think his value's possibly declined a bit. Bailey, Buendia, Inks. Do we think that we've got our money's worth for them? Or do you think they've probably seen a 20-25% reduction?
100%.
If we were to transfer them out, like who would take a punt on Bailey? Guy hasn't barely played for us. And a lot of Leverkusen fans, you read in the comments. Now, again, I understand it's just, social media, but they also take him. The guy's a sick note, barely plays. We thought, we've got this jet based off YouTube highlights. I saw 10 minutes worth of 5 seasons. Now, I don't think that's a lot of footage, to be honest, for a player of his caliber. So, yeah, I think we're starting to see him. I think he's pretty injured for us. Ings, I just don't think we're playing to his strength. You see, he's just give him the ball. And left foot peg. You probably could have put us up 2-0. The guy's lethal. We need to put. I slated him and I said, go Watkins. But you see Ings, the aggression, the passion when he scores. Like we need that. We need that clinical finish. And I think their keeper pulled out a fantastic save in the second.
Very good save.
Yeah,
that's what Ings' strengths are. Yeah, they were starting to build momentum. Then imagine that boom goal from Ings again. He's got 2. He's on a potential hat trick and could seal the game off. Buendia, I think, is coming to light now. I think we're starting to, and he's an assist grabber.
Well, that's an interesting question. Is that out of those 3, Bailey, Ings, and Buendia, I think throughout the season at different times we could have all said, "Oh, he's the best signing out of the 3," or "He's the best."
Patchy. They were patchy. We haven't seen all 3 congruently dominate. That's the problem.
That's it. And I think neither any of us really still don't know who's going to be the best signing out of those 3. Like it's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. When I saw Bailey come on against Everton, he lit it up like he's going to be a gun for us. Like that 19-minute patch, we got a goal and 2 assists or whatever it was. Yeah. He's the best thing since sliced bread, and now he goes down with 2 injuries in quick succession. Ings hasn't been playing.
He injured one because he hit the ball too hard. I'm like,
come on, yeah.
And problem is our expectations declined pretty quick. We went from if he can do that in 30 minutes, what can he do in 90? We'd be satisfied if he could do that every 25 minutes now. So we're already expecting less from him. Okay, we're lucky if he makes the bench now. So I think, I really feel for Leon. Like he seems pretty passionate. I've seen him post on his socials.
Yeah.
I'm not saying pressure's on Gerrard, but I do know that Graham Potter was a close second. There was a lot of speculation around him, and now Brighton have crept up to 8th, their best ever so far, I think, in Premier League history.
Yep.
And he's got him playing some good football. That guy has built a team. He hasn't bought, he's developed players. We always criticise him for not getting wins, and now all of a sudden they've hit this patch of form. Is it a patch of form, or is it his kind of vision coming together now? And then that's something, I think, did we maybe sign Gerrard where if he went to Liverpool, is Potter the longer term approach where, if we sign Potter, it doesn't work well. Like, do we sign Gerrard? It's kind of a potential band-aid solution for a couple of years again. Let's be real. If Liverpool came knocking and he's performing well at Villa, that means, yes, we've got the best out of him, but it's going to be hard for any coach to kind of supersede, his achievements.
Well, I
just thought it was interesting with Potter.
Well, I think either of them would have been a good choice. But
it's a win-win, I think.
It seemed like Gerrard was always the guy they wanted, and we'll have to see what he does in January. Like going back to the second half of the game, it was very disappointing. The goal we conceded at the end, it was poor defending. Target lost his man. There seemed to be a bit of confusion as to who was tracking who. At one point, a couple of players got pulled out to the ball, and then Target was in a difficult situation where he didn't really know if he should go or stay on his man, and he was sort of in no man's land. And he makes a good save, and then the follow-up, no one's there for the rebound. Very disappointing, but I feel as if with that game's out of the way now, like Gerrard's had his first disappointing result. He can now hopefully bring some people in. I mean, Keenan Davis has gone out to Forest on loan. Twanzabe's been recalled by Man United. Now he's gone to Napoli on loan.
He was going to Italy or something.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a surprise, to be honest.
Is it though? I mean, he's played like a combined 11 minutes for us, so I think he's more.
Well, I'm surprised that a club like Napoli want him. To be honest, I mean they're going for Serie A this season. Like, so
well, I think that's another problem area for us. Twanzebe and Horse. Look, Horse is a mammoth of a bloke, good player, but you look at the big teams that compete, and they've got players competing for every position. The third centre back could almost walk into any other team. I mean, you got Liverpool. What's his name? Kanate. You can't even break in because Matip's in form. Kanate, they dropped like 60 mil on just to sit on the bench. And I understand these are the competing teams that they win a lot, but for that reason. So I think we need to find talent. Are we going to drop 5-10 million on I wouldn't say a third choice centre back, but if Mings is out of concept, like, okay, we feel comfortable bringing him in. Not, Courtney just hoof it long, because he's not Mr. Composed. I mean, neither is Mings, but he's more consistent.
Well, some of the names being mentioned, there's a lot. There's Tagliafico, the left back from Ajax, the Argentinian. So
he's
maybe
Tagliafico's 29. Yeah, he's 29.
I guess defenders can go to like 35. I mean, you look at Stephen Warnock. I don't think we signed him super young, and we got some pretty good years out of him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got the Argentinian connection there with the two Emmys. So,
so are we trying to keep Martinez here?
Yeah.
Sorry if I die on the podcast, by the way. A heads up.
Glenn Kamara, Ryan Kent. There's been a few ex-Rangers players mentioned as well. Like Coxy, where do you think we need to strengthen? If you could bring in, two players ideally, like what sort of players would you be looking at?
Well, I think the CDM is really an issue that we've had for a very long time. But as you said, with left back, we've just got no cover. So we definitely need both of those. I think Matt Targett's actually had a lot of criticism. His form is up and down. He's doesn't score a lot of goals. And I think Gerrard's looking for one of those kind of players. And I think Cash needs to improve on the other side, needs to improve from goal scoring as well. Although he's having a lot more shots, they're not actually going in. But from what I've heard and seen about the way Gerrard is in Scotland and stuff, the wing backs put in a lot of goals and a lot of assists, and they're not doing it at the moment. So I think we could be getting left and a right back there. We definitely need a centre back and a CDM to cover Marvellous. So I think we've got a few players coming in. I just hope they do it quickly because we're losing players to the African competition as well, aren't we? So
I think Nakamba's the big loss. Good
definitely.
That being said,
and who would have said that maybe a year or two ago?
I know.
First on the chopping block.
I know.
Although he had like half of Nigeria, whatever, and he's like defending him on Facebook.
That's it. I mean, there was certain games where I thought, is this guy? Is he really a footballer?
Is he legit?
Has he just tricked everyone? But under Gerrard, he's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like he seems like I think he gives off a bit of a Kante vibe. I don't see him as a bit of a hothead or a loose unit in the dressing room. I reckon he's one of those just dresses like a dag, goes back to his family at home and just chills all night. After picking up potential 3 points.
That's it. Yeah, drives a shit car. Yeah.
Gets his dad to drop him off at training.
Well, but he won't be training for a while.
I think the name that stands out at CDM, I still say it. I think Bissouma. When we played Brighton, he dominated and just cleaned up. And again, that's where if we sign him, well, it's stick up Gerrard's after. Well, now you don't need to play two. Just let him do the work. Then we've got Dougie, we've got Sanson, we've got Ramsey. Well, one of them will be dropped.
Did you hear Cascarino saying that? We are likely, I wouldn't be surprised if Villa signed Roberto Firmino.
I heard that.
And I was like, well, where does he come up with this?
He's not starting for Liverpool. They seem to be opting with Jota.
It's true, but are they going to sell are they going to sell him when they're still in the Champions League? They're still in, the title race.
That's like us selling Watkins, in my opinion. It's like, why would we sell Watkins to someone right now? I mean, no, Arsenal don't have any European football. Why do we do that? In my way, It just doesn't make sense.
Because we're shit.
Yeah, and I mean, he might not be in favour at the moment, but like you said, the African Cup of Nations is coming, and Salah and Mane are off, so surely he's going to start playing in the next couple of weeks. I think that kind of signing isn't going to happen. I think we'll, like Coxy said, we'll probably get 3 or 4 players, maybe a couple from Rangers and a couple from, that Gerard's had his eye on from Europe, possibly sort of cheap young players that, could improve and could be the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
But
well, he said we should be quite excited by it if they land the signings that they're after. So happy days. And
we've had 2 players go out of the squad already, so he's obviously trying to make a bit of room. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Like everything I've been hearing has said that even more might go out as well. El Ghazi, Trezeguet,
I heard that, yeah.
Traore, all these players have been mentioned as potential exits in the January transfer window.
It's kind of like a. Excuse me.
Any news on Conor Hurahan?
No, he's done pretty much. I think in a podcast with with Greg Evans and Dan Bardelli, he pretty much said his Villa career is done. He won't see himself re-signing. I think he's
I thought we thought.
Yeah, he's on loan. He's on loan.
Yeah.
So we're still paying his salary, but he practically said that sadly his Villa career is over.
I think that's where Traore, El Ghazi kind of fall into the next bucket. It's like, thanks for the good times, guys, but it's like we are heading in a different direction, and you do need to potentially sever ties. And they could probably fetch 30 to 40 mil, for the whole lot of them. I mean, El Ghazi was playing pretty well, and I don't say cash him when they're hot, but I think these guys will do well in some other leagues.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that Traore actually started last night.
I
mean, if that's the rumor is true and he's on the transfer list, then Sanson got dropped, and we pushed Ramsey back into the central midfield, which I actually think he's better in the midfield than a part of that front three. And we brought Traore on, so that was a bit of a surprise. Troy, were you surprised?
No. I'm probably the standout here. I wasn't. I think there's a hell of a player in there, and he got the ball last night. And I've seen a lot of complaints that.
All right.
Traore, he had the ball, very tricky, very skilled player, but every time he slowed it down. And I think as a case is he got the ball, he turned his man inside out, and he's looked up. No one there to help him. McGinn would normally be bombing through. He wasn't bombing through. He didn't seem to have the legs on. Louise would normally come up. Ramsey would come across it. No one was coming for him. These players were completely isolated. And look, maybe it is a case where, the lungs are bursting. They're suffering. He got absolutely, I've looked on the social media. I've looked on various forums, and Traore's got absolutely panned. And I didn't think he deserved it that much, to be honest. I thought he wasn't too bad. I thought that he stood there and he's been let down by the players around him. I don't think he let himself down.
I agree. I think his first half was good, and he does bring something different. He obviously got a bit tired, and I agree with you. He should have probably been subbed about the hour mark, instead of 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would keep Traore out of that list that we just rattled off of potential exits. I think he's the one that we should hold on to, because Trezeguet as well, maybe, because he has been through a horrible injury, and before that he put in some great games for us, and he brings that pressure that Gerard, that's his sort of style. Forwards that was
last season though, wasn't it, Scott? So it's like this, a new season, new system. Can he replicate that? Can he do better? I hope so.
It is, but he has had a terrible knee injury.
I know.
Yeah.
I looked at. I don't know if you guys stayed up for the extra few minutes after the game last night, but they had an Arsenal Arsene Wenger special on there, and they asked him, what when you first joined, what sort of players were you looking at? And he said, I'll always look at the same kind of players. Someone who's a good athlete, first and foremost. He's preferably a big guy. Someone who's technically gifted, and someone who's a character.
Yeah.
And these were his three. Look at our team. Who could you say that about? Who could you say is like a proper big, like a proper athlete? McGinn ticks the box. He's an athlete, no problems. Yeah. Who's a good character? They don't have to be Roy Keane, absolute.
Well, I think Mings
Bastard
probably,
kind of
Mings,
character.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
but
say
then he
Mings.
doesn't tick the technical box, Scott. That's his problem.
exactly.
It's those mental
Yeah.
lapses.
I mean,
See,
if the
you say
problem,
that. Hang on, you say that with Mings, but if you have a look, I just had a look at the stats
I
here.
think Martinez is probably the only. He's a freaking unit, good character, technically gifted, and an absolute star. So,
But we had 46 hoofballs in the game last night. That's one every 2 minutes, and I guarantee you, most of those came out of defence. Mings, okay, he does tend to. Hoof it
he's got
long.
away. He's got away from jail on that. He's got out of jail on that one.
He has. But again, you look at character. As I say, they don't all have to be Roy Keane, utter prick kind of characters. You know,
No.
John McGinn is a character, and he's a different kind of character to me. So they got character. And then your technicality. What players have we got in that team that could tick all three of those Arsene Wenger type boxes? And let's face it, okay, he died off at the end, but he's a quality manager. What players have we got that can tick those? And I think being from that generation, Gerrard will look at that, and he will look at that kind of player. He will want in midfield as a CDM, as Cox said, he will want a Patrick Vieira type of player.
well,
Yeah.
I think we had one player like that, and he went for 100 mil. That's
But
like
was he a good
player.
was he a good character?
I think he had the wrong character. Yeah, exactly right.
I
he
don't
had the wrong
know. I think
Bad
that
attitude,
I think when it counted, he pulled out some pretty big moments for us.
Yeah, but I think if you're at any bigger club where there's more eyes on you, Scott, some of the things he was getting away with at Villa off the pitch, I think he'd be benched or whatever. I mean, you look
No,
at
no,
him now.
I understand that, but like,
Look, don't get me wrong. That guy's a generational talent, Grealish, and it's sad to see him go. We give him shit. I'd welcome
I mean,
him back now.
Ronaldinho was a party animal. Ronaldo was a party animal, but when it came to, on the pitch, they did it. I mean,
to be honest, as much of a party animal as they are, they seem like good dudes as well.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like not pricks.
no.
professional.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that is the issue. If you want a player that's got ticks all those three boxes, you have to pay for him. Or
I'm like,
a
mate,
lot.
you're looking for a unicorn with a fishing rod.
Yeah.
It's not often. I think
I
Ollie
don't
could
know.
be that. I think Ollie could be that.
He
No,
could.
say this
Yeah.
is where I disagree with you a little bit, that you have to pay for it, and I think this is what the owners have said to Purslow, and they've said to Gerrard. We're going to hoover up a lot of youngsters, and we've seen over the last 6 months the club has hoovered up a lot of youngsters, and I think they've looked at something like that Arsene Wenger model, where he was going to Africa, he was going to France, and he was grabbing any youngster that had even a modicum of talent. And if he signs 100 kids and one of them make it, happy days, ditch the other 99. And I think we're going down that route.
Yeah.
And I think in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years time, I think it's going to be exciting. We've just got to get through that hurdle.
Yeah.
You look at a couple of the youngsters we've got coming through. Ramsey's starting to get a little bit of character about him. He's starting to get that confidence in front of the
Bit of
camera.
grit.
He's starting to the opposition players, starting to get, in their faces. He's got the engine on him, and technically he's getting very good. I think he's one of the few that actually tick the boxes. And with his age, a very, 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 very good player for us to have on our books.
I saw Kevin Prince Boateng comment something where you said in an interview, which is funny coming from him because he could have been a world beater if he has a better attitude. But he even admitted that, and he goes, "Probably today's players, it's all on a plate. You're getting paid, 50 or 100,000 pounds a week, and you're only 19." He goes, back in the day, people had to work for it, and things weren't as expensive either, or they were probably just as expensive. He goes, before the game, you're in bed, you're having your pre-meal before the game, you're doing the right thing. Nowadays, I reckon there's some plays sometimes that I wouldn't say, I just think they're probably playing PlayStation till late at night, he said, and a few other things. And I wouldn't put that past them. I think attitudes.
But the other side to that is someone like Phil Foden probably had a chef from the time he was 17. So,
but that's what I'm saying, Scott. I understand. But I said there would be more Phil Fodens if you didn't have those luxuries, I reckon. Because you'd be working for it, because you got to perform well to get, money was less back then. You had to perform well to get paid more and to get, to enjoy a better life. And that's why there's more legends from that era than this era. Who can you say from this decade, they're actual legends? And I bet if you go from 2000 to 2010, probably triple or 4 times as many. You can think of, and there's a reason for that. And if you go back from 90 to, all that. I understand the game's evolved, it's faster, don't get me wrong. But I mean, if Maldini was born in this generation with his same attitude, he'd be the best defender on the planet by a country mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's
there's certain players that, would be amazing in any era, like Maldini.
Then you got your Messis, your Ronaldos, your Ramos. But again, it's like 2010 till now, I bet there's a lot less of them. Like you've got your Man City, superstars, but I don't really put them in that Arsenal Galacticos era because again, money and a lot of things have influenced the game. It wasn't an open playing field. You didn't have 4 or 5 teams, competing at the top, and it's maybe a 2-point difference for whoever wins the title. Or it's
And
got down to the
I
last day.
think those top teams in Europe as well have gone much more to a team mentality than bringing in stars. Like if you look at Chelsea won the European Cup last year, Arsenal. I mean, sorry, not Arsenal. Liverpool, Man City. You know, they don't go. They're not like a PSG. You know.
No, you're right. It's built versus bought, I say.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there's
And
a couple of clubs we can think of. All right, they've bought talent. Yes, they bought them 3 years ago, but again, you drop 200 million on a player. You'd hope your club improves overall.
And I think going back to what you were saying about the younger players and having a shit ton of money dropped on their laps at such a young age. I mean, I honestly think if you ask 10 of your mates, if I made you a millionaire by the time you're 19, where would you be? And I think a lot of them would say dead. I think
it's what's available out there. I think your taste in things changes.
Yeah.
You know, I think you start to want things more. It depends if it's ingrained in you. You know, we're different. Where I appreciate that every dollar, and I'm sure you guys do too. Where I bet if I asked my kid that, you know, he'd probably go, "I want a Gucci or a Kenzo jumper," because that's what they see.
Yeah. I was watching TalkSport earlier, and someone called up ranting and raving about Man United and
on TalkSport, someone was ranting and raving.
Yeah. And Darren Bent was on there, and the guy brought it. Look, the money they're on, and Bent's just gone. He's just eyes rolled back in his head, almost as if he had a look on his face to say, "Why do we always bring up money?" And I don't think these players a lot of the time appreciate the fact that, you know what, you could get 1 week's wages of the average Premier League football, and that is a life-changing amount of money for the average person.
Or swap jobs. Go fit cabinets for a 60-hour work week as an apprentice, making £400 if that, and you know your boss has probably docked you a bit because you come late. Because you know I don't think these footballers will be doing 60-hour weeks. And put that apprentice in the footballing, you know, put him in that footballer's shoes for a week. I bet the output's higher from the apprentice, even if he's some fat dude. You know he's going to be giving it his all, and that's the difference.
I think there's I think there's plenty of examples of young players now that have been taught the right way as well. I mean, everyone knows all the dangers now. I mean, it's not like the 90s when we had Gascoigne getting drunk and, you know, like ruining his career. Like, could have been maybe the best English player ever. I think maybe he was, but he only did it for a small amount of time, a couple of years, because he became an alcoholic. He had his problems off the field. And I think now, you know, there's so many measures in places in clubs that look after that sort of thing. And just, you know, that maybe, you know, like the Fodens and these kind of guys, and, you know, that they've got such a great attitude because it's just been, you know, put into them from a young age.
And I think it's one of the big advantages that we have, that we've got Steven Gerrard, who is a relatively young manager, that he can sit down with these guys and say, I get that you want to go out on the piss and listen to Phil Collins. I get that you want to do this and stay. You know, Steven Gerrard would know what a PlayStation is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There's some older managers who would, but who would look at the young kids and they can't relate. Steven Gerrard could relate, and at least he could sit down with a player like Ramsey and say, look, I get what you want to do. And would be able to talk to them on their level and get across, look, you can be a premium athlete or you can fuck your career up. Which one do you want to do? Let me show you the mistakes I made. Let me tell you how to manage it. And I think that's one of the big advantages to having a young manager who has achieved everything, who would go out and would be a bad boy. Learn from my mistakes. Trust me, you'll benefit from them.
Yeah, well
exactly.
And what you just said, Troy, that reminds me of that the Spurs documentary where Mourinho said the same thing to Dele Alli. You know, it's like, hey, you can be a world beater, but your attitude's got to be better. And again, you know, I'm sure if you check Dele Alli's Instagram, it's probably not him kicking a ball around. You know, it's about that life and, you know, what they want to portray. And it does become that you need validation from the world to feel good. Now, I understand there's things like mental health, but I think it's more prevalent now because people are a bit more precious because you've got more at your feet. Where back then, pretty sure if I was, you know, I mean, I'll rewind back to when I was a kid. If I misbehaved, I'd get the metal end of the belt from my dad. That's called discipline, not abuse.
Yeah.
You know, now, if your child wants to identify as a certain gender and you say no as a parent, you get 5 years prison. True story. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but anyway, there's something.
Look at this as an example.
I bet Foden at, say, like, you know, when he was hitting peak form, I reckon there's a lot of Fodens in the world, but the amount that didn't make it because bad attitudes. And again, full credit to Foden.
Of course.
You guys
seems like a junkie, you know what I mean? Like, he is not a drunk junkie, as in a football junkie, but he's like, he comes straight in all the time. Like, you got Sterling going to the bench, who I think is a world beater. I don't understand why Man City hate him so much. You got Grealish on the bench. They'll put anyone on the bench to start Foden. and that's called culture.
Well, just even at at the amateur sort of level, like Tommy, I know that you grew up as a promising young player. I was, in a similar bracket, but there was guys that were way better than me and like had this huge reputation that they were going to be brilliant at sort of 11, 12, 13. By the time they got to 17, most of them are gone, like because they just and the guys who kind of stuck with it and sort of went under the radar a bit were sort of the more successul players.
Yeah, look, you can make a living. I wouldn't say, it's not a full-time job, but you can make some, decent cash in lower leagues, ATO, and don't listen to this. But it's I reckon, there's a lot more what could have been or where are they now than, oh, wow, he actually made it. And I said, there's that many clubs in the world. So, there's so many good players. No, like there's just as many good clubs paying money. You want money? Go to India or China. You'll make your bang for your buck.
But there is that lower bracket as well. There are the kids who do make it. Look at J. Lloyd Samuel. He made it with us, and I remember he got himself in a bit of trouble at the club. Gordon Cowans came out and said, "I'm still driving the Ford Capri that the club gave me for winning the European Cup." This guy who's achieved 2/5 of 1/3 of fuck all, he's driving the equivalent in Australian dollars, a $400,000 Bentley.
Right?
Wow.
What is? I've achieved everything in this game. Yeah, I've achieved everything in this game. This kid's achieved nothing. And his attitude was, I've got a Bentley. I remember running into Zelko Kalic in Sydney. He just signed for Leicester at the time. And we're going, oh, big chance for you, big things to come. And he's like, I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I've signed my contract. I'm good for, I think, 3 or 4 years. I've made it. I'm a millionaire. I don't give a shit anymore. What the fuck?
And that's what happens in football. That's the one thing I hate in football.
I think he played for him 4 times or twice.
£50,000 is enough. £50,000 is a yearly wage, man. That's $2.5 million a year. Deduct half, you walk away 1.25. You can go buy 2 investment properties a year if you're smart with your money. You can invest it and double it, whatever. Like a big deal. You're going to go play football for another year if you lose it all. Yeah. And then to be like, Pomp was like, I want 500,000, not 250K. 250K isn't enough a week. What kind of lifestyle are you living, mate? Like us collectively probably don't make that much in pounds,
But when you hang around with other people who are making 50,000-60,000 pounds a week and they're all driving sports cars, this becomes
that's the
norm.
problem. But that is the problem. Why not be the humble one? I love Kante. Like I don't think Chelsea actually offer him contract extension. He doesn't, throw his feet around. Oh, I want a contract extension. They know his value. If you perform well, the club will look after you. Not, I've got to threaten it on social media or, I want to go back to Inter because it's always got to do with money. That's what these money hungry.
It's all about agents and pressure from your family as well. That that's something that's not talked about a lot. Is
1.25 million isn't enough to look after your family? Like I'm pretty sure
it is, but like then you get your wife saying you just turned down an extra $50,000 a week.
All right, tell the wife not to go Gucci and Chanel every week, and it's like, hey, I make this money, I play football, I sacrifice. You just pop a couple out.
You need to go and watch The Real Housewives of Cheshire and Mad Phil Barden's wife. What's his name? Our right back, Crazy Phil, Mad Phil. Do you remember him? His wife is on there. I don't know what money he's making, but she's spending it and then some.
You know what I mean? I said my missus. Like,
I'd rather not watch that.
My missus gave me probably the best advice I'm in like sales, do what I do, MasterCard, and my missus gave me some really good advice, and she's got nothing to do with it. She said, how much is enough? How much is at the expense of money to lose your family, lose your kids? And, even Rooney, like, he's a legend, whatever. Cheated on his wife like 3 times, mate, while she's pregnant. Like, it's the woman that apparently your childhood sweetheart, she loved you when you had fuck all, and you go behind her back with some, prostitute a couple times. So I said, where does it come in? And then I shouldn't give credit to him because he doesn't pay tax, but then it's like Messi, he stayed with his childhood sweetheart. They got kids. Great guy, when he pays his taxes. And that's the other thing. Like, it is about value. I get someone's like, it's not about the money. It's about what you're worth. It's basically saying, I am worth more than here. And I said, yeah, I think it's relative. If I'm on 50K and someone offers me 150, that can change my life. But if I'm on £500,000 a year and someone offers me a week and someone offers me $1 million, no one's like, mate, I'm on like $23 an hour and I'm happy.
All right, well, I think. All right. Well, we've gone off topic a little bit.
No, we haven't. Scott? We're gonna have 200 followers by tonight.
Maybe we should move back to some predictions for Man United in the.
Hang on a sec. Can I talk about Nanny McPhee, the bearded blonde lady, for a minute? Because I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Because last night I saw Louise in the penalty box on 3 separate occasions, marking their biggest guy. The guy must have been
and their keeper, and then
standing on their keeper, which he got pinged for twice. every time we had a throw in, I mean, okay, this has been a problem for Villa since I was a kid, but here's a set piece coach. Every time we had a throw in, what is going on? You know, I was really delighted that we brought this guy in, and there were some few differences in the first month. It's like, whoa. And we all said, you know what, within 12 months to 2 years, every club is going to have a set piece coach. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, they're all probably looking like we could save 100 or however many £100,000 a year and just not employ these pricks.
Yep.
Well, I was listening to Greg Evans, and early in the season when everyone was raving about him, he said, "Let's give it to the end of the season, and we'll see. We'll see how well we do over a season with this new set piece coach." And I think it's pretty much going to be the same. I don't think he's a
we
genius
don't look
or
as
anything.
threatening though anymore. We used to look threatening from every single set
You
piece.
remember that one Conser scored that time off the set piece? It was unreal.
Yeah,
We pinged 2 corners to the back post to Buendia, who's this tall. Why is he even in the penalty box? To me, he should be outside the penalty box to smash it back in. Why is he?
I don't know if it's stamina. Just a quick digression. I don't know if it's stamina or Louise just being a pussy, but I saw this is like our 18-yard box, whatever it is. One of their guys was like cutting in, and I felt sorry. I see Sansol making a lung bursting. I think it was Louise or someone just here, just like moved, and Sansol was still running. I'm like, mate, like just put in a fucking tackle or just put your body in. You know, I'm like, I felt bad for Sansol. This guy, I do think he's a real gem for us. Like he puts in a shift. I think he needs to get a clean run of games. I think he'll be a starter moving forward. You know, Gerrard sees something in him. There's a reason.
You don't play Champions League footy, Tommy, and you know, play regular Champions League footy if you're no good, from Marseille, in my opinion.
Well, that's why I was surprised he got dropped.
I couldn't believe it. I thought he was really good against Chelsea. I thought he was outstanding.
And it's not the croissants in Adelaide. Gilbert made team of the season in League One.
Yeah.
So
did he?
Why don't we bring him back? You know, you definitely give Cash a kick up the arse. He looked great in preseason. Defensively, he's decent. Or put him at left back. You know, like targeting Catch, you got to know that your spot's on the line just like anyone else. You're not guaranteed because you're a defender and it's a safer position.
He's probably got a bit more quality going forward than Cash as well.
Agreed.
It's good. I
got like 2 assists in a game in preseason. I understand quality was a little bit, it wasn't as great.
What often gets missed with these players is, okay, he goes overseas and he's brilliant. He comes to England. There is the human factor here, where he's a bloke who's out of his home country. Maybe he doesn't settle. That
Sanson is French.
Yeah,
you got a friend.
But everyone's different. As I say, it's the human factor. I'd like to give Gilbert another go. Just quickly, the stats from last night, if you have a look at them, were quite impressive. And it's the first time we've actually racked up an impressive lot of stats, except for one. Expected goals was just less than 1. And if you looked at that on pay, ignoring the expected goals from it, if you looked at those stats, you go, wow, we were dominant.
Team won? Villa.
We were dominant. We were obviously entertaining. We had a lot of passes, a lot of completed passes, but the second half was just, it
just dropped off. Yeah,
stats don't say everything. So all those bras that they wear don't mean an awful lot. You've got to have eyes on the pitch, don't you?
Well, that's it. I mean, we had some really nice play, but in those final moments, we a few times we let ourselves down. Apart from the goal, that was a lovely move.
Such a good goal. Such a good goal.
We didn't really create, that many clear-cut chances, even though we were playing some really good stuff in that first half. And then the second half, like you said, we didn't really create anything. And they had 2 or 3 chances, and that's all they needed.
They had 2, I think. I think they had 2.
Well, let's move on to the FA Cup. Is coming up on Monday night. We are away at Old Trafford, and we'll start with you, Noah. What are your thoughts and prediction?
Well, it's in my opinion, it's going to come down to how badly United want to win the FA Cup. That's how, in my opinion, they could go full strength.
Exactly.
Have Ronaldo, have Rashford, have Sancho, and they could go full pelt, and we could struggle. But I know that Gerrard said that we want to do a cup run.
Yep.
And I think we'll go with a pretty strong team. And you got to back Villa in, don't you? I'm going to go 2-1 Villa.
Can we win there twice in one season, Troy?
I'd love to.
Does it go to pens?
You know what?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's no replays.
There's no replays anymore, are there? Oh, okay.
No, because of COVID, they stopped the replays this season.
Okay.
I agree with everything the young man said, except for Ronaldo. If they throw Ronaldo on the pitch, I'd be quite delighted. I think he's been galactically shitting against us. I think we were the first team this season to actually stop him having a shot. Put him on the pitch. Ronaldo, I don't worry about him. I think he's got an attitude problem. I think Man United have got a management problem. I think that they could well put in a second string side to concentrate in the league. The only way we get into Europe is to win this thing. I agree with Noah. 2-1 to us.
Coxy?
I'm in 2-1 for me as well.
Yep. All right.
Is Mings back?
He'll be back, yeah.
Mings can play.
Is Ollie back?
I hope not.
I don't know.
Okay, if that's the case.
So you don't think, Troy, we missed Ollie a little bit last night?
The funny thing is, we miss Ollie's work rate. He passes the defense. He comes back and helps the defense.
But he's not creative. He's a workhorse.
That's it. He's a workhorse, and off the ball is fantastic. We need someone to stick into the back of the net, and Ings is the man for that.
Fair enough.
I'm going to go 1-0 in extra time, or we're going to win on pens because I trust Emmy over any other keeper in the league right now. I think endurance, like I said, we're 5 weeks behind, so we might have a bit more stamina. If we got extra time, we're going to be knackered. I hope the subs are on point. I think we need a gamble, play someone like Sanson because he did well against Chelsea in the FA Cup, so they've done well in the Cups. His fitness looks good. I wouldn't be surprised. I think there might be a little ace up his sleeve. Maybe might throw Chucky or Archer on. Just because I think league's a bit of our concentration. We have hit a bit of a slump, not that we've burst the bubble, but now we're really going to see what Gerrard's capable of. So 1-0.
What did you say the scores? 1-0.
1-0 in extra time. It'll be I reckon the second half of extra time, Ings, because I think most of our goals have actually come after the 80th minute. So we have some pretty good endurance, and we can see, we're not afraid to get a winner at the end.
I will say 1-1, and we'll win on penalties. Like you said,
I was going to say that. I thought I'd be a bit more optimistic.
Emmy's the king. He's already got in Bruno's head anyway. So
he's already texted him.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, we better wrap it up because I think we're about an hour's of the way in. So
4-0.
I know we didn't even do the quiz this week. We'll do that next. We
didn't do it
next round. No, we didn't.
No time, or just we'll talk on.
Well, because we had Coxy on, we thought we'd.
I thought we didn't have time. Okay, that makes sense.
It'd be a 3-hour podcast if we did the quiz now, because I haven't even written any questions down yet.
Someone said I think it's time to maybe just introduce some non-Villa stuff, just to kind of mix it up. So
yeah, that was my dad, Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Jeffrey,
it's good to know all our biggest fans are our family. So
mate, that's how it starts.
No, but we got over 100 subs, so that's really good, guys. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Please continue to do that. Tell your friends about it, and thanks, Coxy.
Tell the kids at the playground. Tell everyone. Tell the ice cream person down the road. Tell Mr. Gelati.
Yep. Coxy, do you want to let the people know? Is there any way they can follow you, or are you on social media?
Not really. Just if they want to keep looking for the comments on your podcast, because I'm certainly going to be continuing to do that.
Just Google "We Love Cox."
Well, thanks a lot so much for dropping in, and I'm sure we'll have you on again shortly.
Do you have any electrician or plumber mates you'd like to give a plug to?
My brother-in-law is an electrician, actually. I should mention him, but I won't.
Tambo. All right. Well, thanks, guys, and enjoy the rest of the week. And we will be back on Monday for the Man United game. So we'll see you all then. Catch you all later. Catch you.
Yeah.
Later.